I owe you a video. I'm a couple days late here, and I'll get to why in a minute, but let's cut to the chase. It worked! We are pregnant. Yes, it worked. So happy, and I'm really surprised actually too. My beta was this past Friday, the 23rd, and I intended on making this video right away, but I was going out of town for the holiday weekend, and then where I was, I didn't really have a chance to do it, plus my signal's kind of nil, and uploading a video over that would have taken forever, so I figured I'd do it today. Anyhow, let me back up a little bit. I told myself I was not going to test during the 2-week wait, and my husband actually requested that because when I tested early on our first try with the fresh cycle, it drove me insane. That's the problem with testing early. It once is never enough, because then you end up saying, oh, well, maybe I tested too early, maybe it's really not negative, maybe it's really positive, is this strep bad, should I try another one, maybe I should do it tomorrow morning. Oh my god, the brain just goes and goes and goes. And that's what happened to me last time. So I told him, all right, I am not going to test early. And I had another friend request it of me too, and I did not test early. But I told him, I said, I make no guarantees on the morning of the beta test, because what harm is there in that other than not driving myself crazy all day long waiting for that call? Because my blood test was at 7:15 in the morning, and typically they don't call me until between like 4 and 5 lately, actually, which is a little bit later than it's been in the past. So I would have had to wait all day long on pins and needles wondering what was going on. Probably not get anything accomplished at work, and probably drive myself nuts for 8 to 9 hours there. So I got up that morning and I said, okay, I'm going to test. And the only pregnancy test I had on hand was a cheapy Dollar Tree test. And yeah, they work, but you don't typically get really great lines on them because they're cheap tests. They work, they tell you what you need to know, but there's definitely a difference between them and the Wandolphos, for that matter, the little strips you can get on Amazon. There's a difference between those two and buying like a First Response or a digital Clear Blue or any of those. But that's what I had on hand. So I got up that morning and I was like, okay, get my urine in the cup, and I put it to the side, and I was like, do I really want to do this? I was like afraid to do it. I wanted to know the answer, but I was afraid. Because I really didn't have a gut feeling at all this time. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I was hoping it was going to turn out good, but I did not have a gut feeling, and there were days where I was like, it didn't work. and I don't know, maybe that was just protecting myself. So before I jumped in the shower, I said, okay, I'm just going to do this. And it was, because it was the Dollar Tree ones, there's a little dropper where you got to put it on. And I do that, and I put it to the side, and I couldn't even watch it. I mean, a lot of people just sit there and stare at it. They're like, come on, wait for the line to pop up. I couldn't even look at it. I turned away, and I'd say about 30 seconds later, I said, you know what, just, put the big girl panties on and look. So I turned around, it wasn't even a minute later, and the line was already showing up. And I was in tears. I was like, oh my God, it worked. I was crazy. So then I jumped in the shower, got out of the shower, and I was waiting to see if my husband was going to get up yet, because I normally get up a little bit before him, but he hadn't gotten up yet. So I went upstairs. He's still asleep. I mean, dead to the world. And I wake him up, and he's all groggy and whatnot. I'm like, what? And I'm like, it worked. And he stops for a second, and he's like, it worked. Oh my God. It was like delayed reaction. It was funny. It really was. So I have that first test here. And like I said, you don't normally get really, really strong lines on these Dollar Tree tests. Until you're well into it and your HCG level is up there somewhere. Because this one is from Friday, it is fated, it was much darker than this when I took a picture of it, but that's what I've got now, and that actually is a little bit faded since Friday. So you can see there was there was no mistaking that. There was no needing to have to reverse image it and squint at it or anything. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So at the end of the day, the beta came back as 275.8, which I know that is a really general number. It really goes on person to person, pregnancy to pregnancy. The only thing I can say is the last time I got pregnant, the one that resulted in the blighted ovum, all of my HCG levels were great the entire time. And as I recall, that one was probably about half that number on the first beta. And the first beta was not until a couple days after I had missed my period, because back then I was still having occasional issues with my cycle. I only had maybe 1 or 2 cycles where there was an issue, and it just so happened to be one of those. So I at that time I had just assumed, I'm not pregnant. And I had actually tested and didn't get a line until, if I had to guess, probably 17 days past ovulation. And I had to let that test sit there and develop for quite a while. This is 9 days, if I got that right, 11 days, I'm sorry. 11 days past transfer, frozen transfer. And keep in mind, on frozen transfers, the embryos are supposed to be a little bit more sluggish to get going than on a fresh transfer. And I got that kind of line, and 275.8. So I have numerous people saying, well, that means it's either one really strong baby or it's 2. We'll see. Numerous people calling twinsies. I'm fine with whatever, really I am. So, like I said, there was a holiday weekend, and I was out of town, and plus the clinic was trying not to make any appointments unless they absolutely had to. And I said, you know what, we can wait to do the next blood test as long as that's okay with you guys. And they said, yeah, that's what we would want to do, considering the circumstances. And your number is not low. It's a really good number. So let's do it Tuesday morning. So that was today. Tuesday morning, I was in there at 8 a.m. And again, I had to wait until, I think it was 4:15 for them to call me. And I knew that, so again, I did another Dollar Tree test just because I wanted to ease my mind. I wanted to see if the line got darker. And boy, did it ever. That is the test from this morning. That's the test from Friday. Oh, I got it the wrong way. Here we go. So you can see this one's definitely darker. So I really wasn't that worried. But I was dying to know what that number was. I mean, math-wise, it's supposed to double every 48 hours. So that was 4 days. So that's quadrupling at that point. We were looking for around 1,100, and it was 1,369. So we were well above what they were looking for, and they actually told me that they didn't need to schedule me for third beta at all, that everything looked great. And our first ultrasound is scheduled next Thursday on June 5th. I think that'll put me around 6 weeks if I had to guess, because I think I'm like 4 or 5 now. I know you're supposed to count from your last period, but with this frozen cycle, that was a little wonky. So I'm guessing I'd be around 6 weeks by the end of next week. And I don't know if we'll see much other than making sure that the sac or sacs are actually in my uterus and not somewhere where they don't belong. And how many there are, 1 or 2. We did put 2 embryos back in, so there is that chance. Excuse me. If we see anything inside the sacs at that point, I will be ecstatic. I know it's like a 50-50 shot at that time, because that can be a little early for some to see a fetal pole, but because of my history with the blighted ovum, It would be amazing if we could see something next week that would completely put me at ease. Dealing with another blighted ovum is slim to none. It's very rare for you to have more than one, but I've seen many cases where it has happened, so it's not inconceivable. And with IVF and FET, and even if you have PGD testing, there's no guarantee. So I'm just going to put on my smiley face and assume that everything is going to be fine, because everything looks amazing. Everything looks awesome. Everything is awesome. So the numbers look better than last time. They look more than what we were expecting them to be. And signs-wise, I am feeling things. So let me back up here for a minute. The reason why I had no idea if this was going to work or not is because I really didn't allow myself to pay much attention to any symptoms during the 2-week wait. Now, I wrote some stuff down, but mentally I kept telling myself it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't mean anything. And the reason why I was doing that is because last time with the fresh cycle, I had all kinds of symptoms, and it was a negative. So in my mind, that meant that the majority of the things I had felt were side effects from the progesterone and estrogen shots, which is a fact. Both of those can cause side effects that mimic pregnancy. So it's really hard to determine what's a side effect and what's a pregnancy symptom. So I noticed a lot of similarities between some of the stuff I was feeling this cycle and last cycle. And I immediately just chalked those up to being side effects. There were a couple of things that were different. But again, I just didn't allow myself to really latch onto those because I guess I was fearful of heartbreak again. I was trying to protect myself and be cautiously optimistic, which is a very hard thing to do, by the way. A couple of the things that I noticed that were different, and I will put a TMI warning here. We're talking about pregnancy symptoms, so it kind of comes with the territory. About 2 days before my beta test, I noticed that my areolas had changed color, just slightly, but it was enough for me to notice it. And because I was questioning anything that I was seeing or feeling or contemplating, I actually asked my husband and said, okay, do these look different? And he said, yeah, they look darker. So at that point, I was like, oh my God, maybe it worked, maybe it worked, maybe it worked. But that was at night, and I went to bed that night and I was like, calm down, it doesn't mean anything. Just let it go. And I also felt a lot of, I guess I would call them stretching pains. In my mind, I kind of thought that it was way early for that kind of thing. But the last time I got pregnant, that stuff started pretty quickly for me, right around week 5, which is where I'm at now. I don't know if you want to call those round ligament pains, because I don't think those typically come until later. But just kind of stretching and jostling kind of pains, quick stabbing pains, maybe not even stabbing, but just quick pains that don't last for very long, just a couple seconds. They're not like, oh my God, what is that kind of pains, but they're pains that definitely get your attention. And I know that kind of is the description of round ligament pains. So I don't know if that's what they are, but I know I had that last time when I actually did get pregnant. So when I started feeling that, I was like, oh my gosh. And again, I just put it to the side. So now that we do have a confirmed pregnancy, I can say that both of those things have definitely continued. The color change is still there. That did not go away. And the kind of stretching pains and whatnot are still there. They happen a lot when I move quickly or get up quickly or I turn really quickly, I'll feel one of them. And again, I know that's a classic sign of around ligament pain, so I don't know if that really is what it is. Again, it sounds kind of early to me, but maybe that is on a person-to-person basis since I felt those last time. And my last pregnancy only lasted 11 weeks. The growth technically stopped, I believe, at 7. So after that point, I don't really have much to compare to. But those have continued. I am starting to feel fatigued a little easier than normal. Again, that could be the progesterone still. I don't know. But with the HCG levels going up, I'm sure that is contributing. And other than that, there's not much. I mean, there's a heavy feeling down there that's kind of hard to describe. It definitely feels like something's going on down there. And that's about it. That's about the only symptoms I have right now. I do have breast tenderness. That kind of comes and goes, but that is definitely there. That has definitely appeared already. And my husband and a couple of friends claim that I'm glowing. I think they're crazy. You tell me. I think that it may be more of a state of mind, because even though I know we're not out of the woods, there's, got to see what's going on with the ultrasound. Got to get past the first 12 weeks. Even though I know we're not out of those woods, it just getting a BFP completely removes a very large weight off the top of your head. Again, not all of it. There's still concerns there, but I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. It's my state of mind. A little bit less stress. There's still some there, but definitely less stress. Maybe that's what's doing it. I don't know. But that's what I have, people. So my ultrasound is next Thursday. And hopefully we will see something good in there. Before I go, I do want to say that you guys in this community are amazing. Anytime I put a post up, there was like a whole bunch of replies, a whole bunch of likes on Facebook. And the first day when I posted that, I got these wonderfully pretty double lines. There were comments coming through to my phone all day long, and yeah, that just made my day. It really did. It really, really did. You guys are always there when any of us need you, whether it's for good things or bad things. You guys are always there, and I love every single last one of you for it. And now I should leave before I become overcome with emotion again. All right, I will talk to you guys next week concerning my journey here, because hopefully between now and then it will remain pretty uneventful other than pregnancy symptoms. So I will talk to you guys then, and I will be sure to post what the ultrasound looks like. Thanks again, and thanks for watching, and thanks for following my journey, guys. We are finally there. This is the year. Thanks. Bye.